Let's answer a few questions about writing special reports. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and I've compiled a list of questions about writing special reports that generate leads and gain customers for your copywriting, marketing, or business development services. Now, again, of course, you could use this insight to write special reports for your clients. Special reports could be a good $2,500, $5,000, even $10,000 to $20,000 type of project. And they're easy to do if you know how, if you've got the formulas. So these questions have come in response to articles and podcasts I've done on special reports. And if you want more information about to write special reports, simply just send in your questions. So I'm just going to go down the list and cover 3 to 4 of these in our time together today. First off, folks ask, how long does a special report need to be? That's kind of like the question, how long should a sales letter be? Well, I do believe a special report should be long enough to do the job. First off, many of your clients are very busy today, and when they look for specific information, they might spend an inordinate amount of time searching the internet, but they don't connect that with the challenge. So it may increase frustration, but if they spend 4 or 5 hours searching the internet for an answer and they come across your report needs to get to the point. It needs to be interesting, and it needs to do the job, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, do the job of a special report. However, you're not writing a book. You could write a book. A book is a great way to demonstrate your authority, to position yourself as an expert. But again, you can do that with a special report. However, on the flip side of that is if you can't write 8 coherent pages about a specific topic, then maybe it shouldn't be a special report and you can simply write a short series of articles. So there's a decision you need to make as a copywriter about what is the purpose of this report. And if it's going to solve a specific problem for our reader, then what pieces need to be in there? So even asking the question how long a special report needs to be is missing the point, is that the reader must understand the ideas and concepts being presented and feel that they got something of value, and then get the opportunity to take a next step. Because really, here's another thing is a lot of folks ask is, what do you sell in a special report? And see, they've got the idea and the concept that if I'm going to write this report, 8 pages, 10 pages, 16 pages, 55 pages, it better generate a return on investment. So either it has to be presented in such a way that it's worth paying for the report. So that person who's been frustrated searching for answers and they finally come across your report, they're willing to put up some cash in order to get the report, or they're willing to ask for the report and actually read it. So what do you sell in your report? Well, you sell ideas and concepts that position you as an expert on a specific topic or outcome. Now, this is very important because when they read this report, it's not just about educating them on how to solve a problem. You don't know their specific situation, so you're going to have to be a little general, but be specific about the audience. You're going to have to be a little general about the actions they need to take because you don't understand the problems they face, so you're specific about the problems they face. And so in the report, you're selling the idea and concept that they've got a problem that must be solved. And here are a few steps to approach that problem to make sure you're moving in the right direction. And here's all the horrible things that can happen if you go wrong, if it goes wrong, or if you don't follow these steps. Here's all the mistakes that people make. And oh, by the way, here's your next step. See, your report is incrementally educating the reader on how to solve a problem at hand. However, first you got to make sure the problem is clearly defined. So you're selling them on taking action. You're selling them on making a decision. You're selling them on the ideas and concepts that what you're describing is valuable. Maybe you wrote your report about an outcome, how to create and keep profitable customers. So that's something I wrote articles about, I wrote a newsletter about, I wrote special reports about, and eventually I created a book about how to increase your sales and profits in 90 days or less. Well, all the little pieces along the way became artifacts that sold the concept that so first off, that creating customers is important. So you need to create your customer rather than attract your customer, rather than wait around for the customer to show up. You need to create the customer by producing offers and opportunities. Well, I also have a concept in there called profits. You must have profitable customers, and the concept is that not all your customers are profitable. So I sell, getting to the point of the book, I sold in small reports the idea that you ought to get profitable customers and that you can actually measure this. And through the measuring of your customer value, you can focus your marketing efforts. So write 8 pages about that. The customer reads it and they say, oh, you know what? I've been waiting for customers to show up. And that's a problem because of the X, Y, and Z. I've been accepting anybody as a customer, just delighted to get somebody interested in the products and services I had. Here's the reasons why I felt that way and I fell into that trap. And then a high-level outline of the steps they need to take in order to change their direction and start getting the results that they're looking for. And oh, by the way, here are the results you might be looking for and why it's important to look for these results. Do you see how that works out? Now remember, a special report is a sales letter in disguise. It is meant to sell ideas and concepts, not necessarily your product directly. Now, of course, you can include a cover letter and an order form with the special report when somebody requests it. You might have a cover letter that says, many of those who read this special report seek additional information and insights, and I've included a acceptance form or an application to see if you qualify for those additional materials. However, the report teaches you X, Y, and Z. And so they get into the report looking to solve a problem. They get the better understanding of the problem. They get a better approach to the problem. And then they raise their hand and say, look, let's go to the next level. Now, you can sell a kit that is the next level. You can sell a consultation or an appointment that's the next level, but it's not necessarily in the report. The report is a segmentation tool. It's part of your lead generation channels. We'll talk about that in a second. It's also part of your authority, your positioning. Now, at the end of the report, you will ask them for action. Now, that action could be to ask additional questions. I like to use the ask additional questions. Okay. If you have additional questions about this or any other topic we cover, please let me know. I can be reached at such and such. Subject to availability, I do have paid consultations available. Yeah, I let them know the next step is a consultation because a consultation is a really easy thing to offer. Somebody gets engaged in a consultation, we do the consultation, and we can determine whether or not we should go to the next level with a project. Now, you might have written, like in the case of my book, you might have written 4 or 5 special reports over the years that you ultimately compiled into the book. I can go back to those special reports I wrote over the years, and in their context of a lead generation campaign, I can edit the back of the book, edition 2, and I say, hey, I have a book on this topic. So maybe I have 4 reports, each covering a specific topic that altogether those topics are covered in the book. Each of those reports now offer the book as a sales tool. Now, it depends on how you're set up, but for me, I'm set up where I would give the book away as a gift with a paid consultation because I've got a really good book of business. I don't need a lot of clients banging on the door because my capacity wouldn't support it. So for the size of my organization, I don't need 50,000 subscribers. I don't need 50 leads every month. I don't need 50 people wanting consultations. I need about 5 to 10. Okay, that feeds the funnel, keeps me with enough private clients. But what is it for you? So again, your report could sell a training program. Hey, this special report covered X, Y, and Z. And if you'd like to train your team on these topics and go into depth to solve your problems, then contact our offices. Training starts at $25,000 and it goes up to $100,000 depending on the size of your organization. And then you can describe how the training works. Our training is a group training, and it doesn't matter whether you have 5 or 50 people in the group, it's the same price. Or maybe you have a per seat. And then you flip back into the report as far as the, concluding the report itself. The report must feel like they got something educational and that the reader is better off for engaging in your report. But ultimately, you're selling them confidence. You're selling them your authority. You're selling them the ideas and concepts necessary to approach the problem and move towards a solution. The report doesn't provide enough context in order for you to solve big, major problems for the organization. Now, you can promise to solve major problems, and you could show them why they're not going to solve the major problem with a simple report, but you can give them 3 to 5 things that they can do right now to move towards the outcome they desire. But ultimately, you're just selling forward movement. And I almost touched this. The last question here is, do I solve problems in the report? See, no, you're not really solving these big, giant problems in the report. My book, How to Increase Sales and Profits, isn't about solving all of their sales and profit problems. It gives them a 90-day plan in order for them to boost profits and sales. And they can go back to the 90-day plan as many times as they want, but it doesn't magically solve every problem they face. In fact, a report might introduce more problems than you're solving. So you might introduce 3 or 4 problems, offer them a piece of relief. 3 or 4 problems, offer them a piece of relief. And unless they do every bit of the relief, they're not going to get the results that they're looking for. But at least they understand why. However, at the end of it, the next action is that you will, as a service, take care of all of those steps. See, some of the best special reports are about what steps are required to solve the big problem and what little problems do you need to solve before you get done. The report covers the little problems so that they're more equipped to solve the big problem. And you have to stress in the report that you could go and try to solve the big problem, but here's all the mistakes that happen. If you rush into solving this big problem without understanding the pain and the suffering that you're facing today, without understanding these small steps you can take to start getting in the right direction, and these 4 or 5 ideas and concepts that are necessary in order to approach this problem with a solution that works for the long term. Oh, and by the way, here's people who just rushed in to solve this big problem and didn't understand the problem, and now here's the problems they face. Oh, and there's other people here, they approached it the right way using the steps that you have right now. And look at the wonderful things that happen to them. You may never solve the big problem in the report because, again, their unique situation, you don't know enough about it. And the report is designed as a tool for a specific audience. However, it is not the end-all for the solution because you don't know all the contributing factors. And because you don't know all the contributing factors, it would be ill-advised for you to try to solve big problems with these reports. Now, the small problems might seem small problems to you, but to the customer, it's actually a huge problem. So your big problem represents that service that you provide. The little problems are the things that got to get out of the way before they can use the service effectively. Again, though, from the customer's perspective, you could be solving something that's not a big deal to you, but ultimately makes a dramatic difference to your reader. And see, that's why special reports are valuable, because if you have the right context, if you have the right approach, and we teach all of this in our Writing Special Reports program, then the reader of the report or the recipient of the report feels like they're in the right place, they're getting the right direction, they're getting some orientation. It really helps them understand they don't need to go back to the internet and search for another 10 hours. Okay? They've got what they need to get started in their hand today. And all it takes is that next step. They understand the problem. They understand the mistakes to avoid. They understand how other people have approached the problem and some of the drawbacks to those approaches. And then ultimately, who is the expert who can take them to the next level? Who's the person or the organization they need to be in touch with right now in order to go to the next level? See, the report is in their hand as a guide, as a Bible, as a decision-making tool. While it is a sales letter, it is an advertorial style sales letter. It is an educational sales letter that prepares the reader to take a decision or make a decision that is most appropriate for their situation. And by the way, if they read the report and don't understand it, it gives them somebody to go to. Now, you're going to write the report in such a way that they'll understand it. They'll be excited about it. They'll want to solve the problem. They'll be asking additional questions and for additional information, and they're going to move forward on a higher ticket product. So, see, a special report is a way of stepping up a sale. So, a sales letter, you can pitch a $29 book, but a special report is how you pitch a $25,000 service, or a $50,000 service. It's that step along the way that gives the reader confidence that they can make a decision about solving a problem that really hurts. And there might be some steps along the way, but you're taking all that energy they would have invested in calling their friends and asking for referrals or going online and searching for information. You're taking all that energy and you're concentrating it in this report, and then you're giving them a release, because sometimes these reports upset the readers. These reports outline the mistakes that they might be making. 35 mistakes you're making with lead generation and how to avoid them. You're not going to show them how to avoid all 35 ways, but you're going to give them 2 or 3 key ideas and concepts that will improve their lead generation from the investment they make reading your report, and ultimately set them up to say, hey, look, I'd like to solve all 35, and I understand your organization's qualified to do so. And then they call you up to set up either an appointment, a paid consultation. They buy a kit. They go through and work out some kind of project that you're going to do. That's how these special reports work. Now, again, I have 2 pages here written out of questions and answers. If you're interested in more details, in fact, I'll scan and just send you this draft here if it hasn't been typed up by the time you're asking questions. You can visit me at www.adbriefings.co.uk. As a copywriter, marketer, or business development professional, special reports are an incredible way to help your clients. I've actually written special reports as a business development consultant that we sent out on request to decision makers in complex fields like government contracting, fleet fuel, and petroleum services. I've written special reports that were only 4 to 8 pages long, and I used them in lead generation campaigns and set appointments to sell millions of dollars worth of stuff. So for example, I had a special report on how to prevent fuel theft. And the audience was fleet managers. I targeted fleet managers. I sent them out a couple of letters, a series of letters. I said, hey, look, I got this report. Hey, here's some problems that are going on. Oh, it's summer now. A lot of times people are stealing fuel. I know your guys aren't stealing fuel, but what about the new guy that you get? I went down all the little pain points in a series of letters that offered a special report with an appointment. After a while, I just gave them the special report because it allowed me to scale a little bit. But ultimately, they had to request the report. They requested the report. I FedExed it to them, or I priority mailed it to them with a bunch of testimonials and other information. They read the report, set an appointment, and most of them bought. That series cost me about $1 a letter. I was sending only 100 to 200 letters a month. Okay. Eventually, I replaced it with a prospect newsletter, and I sent the letters less frequently. But ultimately, what happened is I probably put $6,000 or $7,000 into the campaign, and I yielded out over the same 12-month period. Now, again, that $6,000 or $7,000 was because I was just blanketing folks out. The company I was working for had a stipend, so they gave me $500 a month to do marketing. And then I had about $1,500 to $2,500 a month that I could do stuff. And I actually did a lot of things that they wanted me to do that were beyond what I just described to you. So really, it's about $1 a letter per contact. And, depends on the size of your list. But here's the deal. I've produced more than $1.5 million worth of sales. So that company basically put up $6,000 to get $1.5 million worth of sales. Okay, and many of those customers were residual. Me as an individual, if I had to pay for that campaign out of pocket, which I've done before as well, I would have produced for myself the commission on $1.5 million was probably about $2,500 a month, maybe $5,000 a month, depending on what was going on. And then, of course, it built up residuals. So ultimately, every month I was getting back the money that I invested in a year's worth of campaigns, all because this special report allowed me to have the flexibility of sharing the full conversation about a solution, about a problem, sharing that full conversation without me having to set the appointment, without having to be in an appointment in front of somebody. Now, of the people who requested the report, how many read it? I don't know, probably very few. This was actually a physical printed report. I think it was 12 pages, and eventually got to like 12 pages, but originally it was just a checklist. I made it easy for them to read, and if they were interested in the topic, they read it. Nearly every appointment that I did go to, because there were other people that were going out to appointments too, but for every appointment that I went to, there was some copy of the special report on their desk. One person had torn it into a bunch of pieces and just had a single page out on their desk. They had highlighted it, and that was the pain point that they had. Another person had the whole report in front of them, and they had taken notes in it. Another person had photocopied the report and passed it around the office, and there were a couple copies there, which is fine with me. I'm not selling intellectual property. I'm selling appointments. I'm selling ideas and concepts necessary to solve a problem. But my point being is that it became a useful tool for the decision maker to move forward with what I had to offer. So I hope this has been helpful. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. I'm here to help you create and keep profitable customers and transform business relationships into profits, guaranteed. And one of the ways you can guarantee this without spending a lot of extra time is to create special reports. Whether you're writing them for your clients or you're writing them for yourself, they become the foundation for long-form sales letters, the foundation for video sales letters. They become the foundation for whole entire marketing campaigns. And if it was all you did, special reports can really position you in a marketplace to be the only and go-to leader in what you do. Thanks for listening. Until next time, you can visit me at www.adbriefings.co.uk.